Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's put on our gilded wings and fly into this controversy.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched Wonder Woman 84.
Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah, you love it. You all love this movie.
Everyone loves this movie.
Citizens of the world, I'm here to change your life. Anything you want, anything you dream of, you can have it. You look like you saw a ghost.
Psych! They don't.
Well, I mean, there have been so obviously this movie it's a huge blockbuster movie. It's on HBO Max right now for the next month and also in theaters. So a lot of people are watching it because a lot of people are at home. Both because of the virus and because it's currently the holiday season, so a lot of people are off work. And they're all watching Wonder Woman, and they're all taking to Twitter with their opinions.
I have a theory, Tom.
I also have a theory. Let's hear yours.
This is the cyberpunk of movies. And what I mean by that is that everybody's had a shitty year, and there was this light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know why we mark, like, moods and years, because obviously 2021 is, time is an illusion, so it doesn't matter. But, like, everybody was like, and then we get Wonder Woman on Christmas.
Right.
The way we were like, cyberpunk will solve everything. And then it had some problems. It turned out to be a kind of a mediocre game, but still fun. And then everybody was really angry. I would say my theory on this movie is that I found it to be a very mediocre film, not terrible. I wasn't in the right mood for it, so it was particularly grating on me when I watched it. But I think people were like really wanting this to be.
I think people were
incredible.
I think I'm agreeing with that. People wanted it to be a good, positive thing. We have only known it was coming out on Christmas Day for about a month.
Yeah,
so
it's not, less hype.
It's not quite equivalent to Cyberpunk, but I see what you're saying. My theory is it's been over a year since we've had a superhero movie.
Right.
And I think people have forgotten just how average most of those movies are.
Yes. Yeah. I will say, I think this is below average. I do think this... I think you're right there, but I think this particular movie was confusing and weird.
I think this movie was right at, I thought it was fine. I think it's right at average.
Okay. I think there's some details in this, like Chris Pine body-snatching a man, and no one being concerned about it is a very weird thing.
It's weird as hell, and there is an extremely hyperbolic discussion around that I want to talk about.
Ooh, okay. Because... Just let's get something clear here. So he takes over a man's body. He's not physically Chris Pine. She's just seeing him that way, like in her mind's eye.
Right. Because,
is that correct?
Yeah, because like his soul, I guess, is inhabiting this guy's body.
Right. So he's using, like, when they get it on, it's somebody else's body.
Yes, with his spirit or existence, whatever you want to call it, inside the body. It's like a body. It's like a body swapping thing.
He should get tested first of all. You body swap with someone.
They have no idea. They had no idea what this dude is up to.
That is just. But it's an extremely sinister thing that happens and a really fucking weird thing that they don't really acknowledge.
They don't acknowledge it at all.
Yeah, and that's fucking weird.
It's strange. Yeah, the premise of the movie, real quick, we should probably is that it's in 1984, as the title implies. Diana Wonder Woman is working at the Smithsonian with her new coworker Barbara, who is Kristen Wiig. And they find this stone that some dudes tried to steal from an antique store in the opening scene. That appears to be useless, but it's actually a wishing stone that if you hold it and you wish for something, your wish is granted.
Which is fucking wild.
Sure, I mean Diana is an immortal woman, the daughter of Zeus, made out of clay.
No.
Like,
it's just not what I thought. I didn't think this movie was going to be The Wishmaster. I'm not against it.
I mean, the first one ended with gigantic, swole CGI David Lewis, so it's I think we maybe should bench
magic exists.
Right. I think we should bench complaints about magic being in the movie because she's a woman made of fucking clay.
My complaint it's not really a complaint.
Yeah.
It's more like a surprise that this is Wishmaster. Because you're right, magic exists in this. They could do these things. It was just a real like, oh my. I didn't know this was going to be a genie film. They did not advertise a genie in this.
No, they didn't. They kept the plot pretty under wraps.
Yeah, and so Chris Pine comes back because of a magic wish.
Yeah, she wishes that Steve Trevor was back, and he appears in the body of some rando. And Pedro Pascal plays Maxwell Lord, he's not specifically...
He's killing it.
He's killing it, yeah. He's not specifically Trump, but he's that idea of 80s excess.
Yeah, he's a failure. I actually didn't... That's funny because, obviously they were thinking of Trump.
Right, but he's
a
not
lot of Trump vibes.
Well, I think
it wasn't so on the nose. You're right. It was 80s scumbag.
It's more. The movie is about 80s excess and apparently about climate change, from what I've read from a interview with Patty Jenkins. But
really?
I think that's the impetus for setting it in the 80s is because that's the height of
the oil and not giving a shit.
And billionaires and hedge funds and Reaganomics, where it's the period of time where the richest few in the United States became the richest in history and the poorest became the poorest.
Right.
It's about crushing everyone around you to get what you want at any cost. So I get why they said it in the 80s. And Maxwell Lord is a figure like that. He's like a TV personality trying to get people to buy into his Ponzi scheme. And he gets a hold of the stone and wishes that the stone was him, which
makes him the Wishmaster.
Ballsy.
Yeah.
I'd have been more careful about how I phrased that wish, because he said, "I want to be you. I want to be the stone." He could have just turned into a rock. Stone. Yeah.
Yeah.
He could have just
and then
turned
movie
into
over.
a rock.
Yeah,
it's like
the stone, by the way, that they found at a black market mall jewelry store.
Yeah,
it's just fucking weird. Yeah. But whatever, it's fine.
It was an excuse to put a mall in there, but
yeah,
I get it. You had to get it from somewhere.
That mall scene was not good. Here's the thing:
the mall scene was tonally completely separate from the rest of the movie.
There's some shit in this. I get the complaints. For example, she's not Wonder Woman that much in the movie.
No.
For 3 or 4 scenes, there's a lot of confusing elements. There's little things. Did you notice that every time she saves a child, she goes, shh, like it's their little secret? But she saves them extremely publicly every time.
Extremely publicly, yeah.
It's stuff like that where I'm like, what is that? What's going on?
I don't know. I guess that was supposed to be explaining why nobody knows who she is in Batman v Superman.
There's just a lot of little things, like the beginning aggro crag horse quidditch scene that didn't really seem like it. All that was setting up was she can't cheat. You can't cut corners.
You can't cheat. You can't.
But you didn't really need that scene for that.
Victory is pointless when it's based on a lie.
Yeah.
We didn't really need it, but it was nice to go back to Themyscira and do a fun little action sequence.
Right. But it was very confusing because it seemed like it was going to have more significance because of the length of the scene. When you realize that that's it, that's the reason, it's like, oh, that was a long-ass scene to just set that up. It's little things where I think the filmmaking, the pacing, there's some really confusing shit in this, where you feel where you're not sure what movie they're doing at first. By the time it gets to like the world is all making a genie wish and like there's cows and it's like really weird and silly, I was just like, what is this? The fact that it's about climate change makes more sense, but I don't think that came out in the movie.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
It's way too muddled.
Yeah, I read in this interview, Patty Jenkins said that she didn't want it to be obvious at all. And it's like, well, congratulations, because it is not.
It is not obvious.
Like, I was more connecting with the idea of we got to stop, like, the win at all costs, get whatever you want, and damn the consequences. That has sort of been America's motto for the past 300 years. Right. Like, I was latching onto that. And of course it applies to climate change. I just didn't make that connection in my mind.
Yeah. Well, that guy threw out an empty pack of cigarettes at first in that scene.
Oh, yeah, so, yeah. I get it.
And oil, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, oil is because it's the 80s. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's just like a weird, like, remember?
Also,
he
has a subscription to Max Lord has a subscription to a magazine called Oil Economist, and that is the funniest. Like, that magazine is for 30 dudes.
Yeah, 30 terrible dudes.
Right, 30 dudes, and like most of them are princes.
Yeah,
right. Like, I don't know.
It's a weird ass film. Remember that guy dangles the kid off the mall screaming, "I'm not going back to jail. I'm not going back." And I was trying to figure out what his plan was. Like, I'm not going back to jail, so I'm going to drop this kid. It's like, well, you're definitely going back to jail then, buddy.
It's the same plan as Tom Sizemore when he scooped up that kid in Heat.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
The heist is falling apart, and he's desperate.
He's like, I'm going to take a kid out with me.
Well,
yeah, it's just a weird, again, it's just a weird ass moment.
Yeah.
I do think this movie is a little subpar. I think, I love Kristen Wiig. I think the way they did her character, they did the nerdy, like Jamie Foxx in Amazing Spider-Man 2, where they're like cartoonishly nerdy and awkward, and their coworkers are like unnecessarily cruel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, nobody exists like this.
Yeah, no, this is not these are not people that exist.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is like the Magic Stone. Whatever, we've gotten a lot of Magic Stones.
Right. We fucking built $1 billion movie around Magic Stones. So
right. But
yeah.
What I think the thing that people expect from superhero movies is the people to be normal, like to be not cartoonish as much.
I don't know if that's an expectation or not. That might be an expectation.
I think whether or not people know it, but you go and look at Avengers, they humanized everybody. They're people.
Yes, yeah,
and they're not like weird two-dimensional comedic characters. And that was the thing that bothered me in this. I think the most is the characters were like a little too fucking like 2003 comic book movie, you know, like a little too. Like when we hadn't figured that out yet. They're just a little too weird and comedic, and so it makes it so that the decisions they're making feels like the decisions in like a bad comedy more than a comic book movie. I do think you're still right, is that like when people are talking about inconsistencies in this movie, it's like, well, go watch any other comic book movie.
Yeah, they're all like this to a degree. Okay, so the idea, and this is, there has been like we were saying at the top, extreme opinions in either direction about this movie, which is really confounding to me. I understand one of them, but I
Which one?
Well, there's a people have pointed out that the movie has a very Western-centric, rosy viewpoint of the world. And that's specifically because the idea is that everybody gets their wish, but it's kind of monkey's paw in that it costs them something in return. Yeah. So like Barbara wishes to be powerful and sexy, and then she becomes as strong. She wants to be like Diana, and then she becomes as strong as Diana, but it like costs her humanity. So she turns into kind of a cold person, whereas before she was awkward, but she was like nice and personable, and you know, she was a nice person.
Yeah.
They equivocate like that, and like Pedro Pascal wishing for like, well, he starts tricking people into like you said, he becomes the wish master.
He's the wish master.
You touch him, you wish for something, you get your wish, but he gets something from you in return. So like he makes this guy wish for sky high profits or something, and he's like, well, that's fine, but now I control all of your shares. Right. So they equivocate stuff like that, like making this is hard to articulate because I'm a fucking white dude. But it's That's basically fine. They
as another white dude, I think you're doing great, Tom.
Right. They go to this Egyptian oil baron who wishes that his homeland belonged to his people again. And he's specifically Egyptian, but like that, obviously that applies to Palestinians and other people in the Arab world, you know, that mentality. And it's the equivocation there is really rubbing people the wrong way, and I totally get that.
Yeah.
On top of the fact that the idea is that everybody at the end has to renounce their wish because it's selfish, and they just have to. It's like the idea of like, well, you have to accept that there are some things that you can't change, and the idea of individual responsibility is what's going to save the world. And then she says something like, "The world is beautiful as it is," and it's like, not for people in fucking Gaza, like not for like, and the fact that Gal Gadot is an Israeli person delivering this message is really stinging people, and I totally get that.
It's also just no, absolutely. It's also just dumb.
It's dumb. It's like the end of the first movie where it was like it's revealed that the Germans caused World War I because they were possessed by the god of war.
Yeah, it's like what the fuck are you trying to say?
Like, what are you trying to say with this ending?
Yeah,
it's like because at the end of the first movie, I remember thinking it's like all the Germans woke up. She's like, I've released them from the grip of Ares, and I'm like, the next 50 years would like a word.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
What the fuck are you trying to say with this?
Yeah, there's a lot of this like weird, naive view of terrible things in the world.
And that's been consistent in both Wonder Woman movies. It's weird. It's an extremely Western-centric view of the world.
I think after the first movie, it was like, okay, well, maybe they weren't thinking. And then this one, I'm just like, all right.
Okay. Like, what the fuck is your problem?
Yeah, what the fuck is your problem? Exactly.
What are you doing? And like, there's a part where she saves two Arab children literally by riding a rocket.
Yeah, and she sure does.
That's stinging people. Like people are like, that's fucked up.
Yeah, that's a little fucked up, huh?
Yeah, that's kind of fucked up.
It's and then just aside, because the idea at the end, and maybe there's something I'm missing, but the idea at the end is Wishmaster goes on this like super TV, and he tells everybody to wish at him.
Yes,
and everybody wishes, and they show only like the greedy wishes, and it's what you're saying is that not all wishes are sinister. Some of them are like they also have this weird subplot where we're having a nuclear war. And I was thinking, did none of these fuckers also wish for no more
wish
war?
for world peace? Yeah,
yeah.
Like I was watching this.
Good wishes,
right? I was watching this with Marina, and I mean, well, we both mostly we both enjoyed the film, but during that part, she was like so convinced. She was like, no, they're going to have somebody is going to wish for world peace, right?
Right.
There's got to be somebody.
It's such a cynical view of humanity. That they're all wishing selfish wishes.
Well, it's
and again, like you're saying, people wishing for a better life for their people, for their countries,
it's equivocated with all these incredibly selfish wishes.
Yeah. And so it's like, and then the final thing, the way she saves the day is she gets on the magic everybody TV that I don't quite understand. It's satellites, whatever.
Mm-hmm. It's fine.
And she says, yeah, it's fine. And she says, we have to renounce our wishes. And then everybody does that.
Well, she shows them that their wish is taking something from somebody else.
Sure.
Like
but
that, and that's the idea. Yeah.
If I was the motherfucker who wished for like world peace, I'd be like, no. No. Everything takes from everything else.
Right.
Everything takes from everything else.
Right. It'd be like, it's like, I wished for world peace. And then she's like, but you must see the truth. And it's like, your wish for world peace gave this person polio. I'd be like, yeah.
So fucking what?
I'm not renouncing the wish.
Everything affects everybody. Pain is just a thing that, I don't know. It's just, it's that thing. Or like if someone was like, I wish for there to not be a genocide in my country because there's a genocide going on. And then she's like, we're all being selfish. We have to renounce our wish. I'd be like, no.
Yeah, this is in 1984. We don't see a single person in South Africa making a wish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's a real, like, you called it cynical, but I think it's the opposite. This is an incredibly naive version of the world because it only shows people like Max Lord.
Well, I think it's cynically naive. It's
or naively cynical.
In the tone of things in the 80s where they just like gloss over and they're like, the world's great, and it's like, no,
it's great the way it is. No. Certainly not in the year of our Lord 1984.
Yeah.
Like we're still years from Reagan acknowledging that AIDS exists.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck?
Again, it's a very like, everything's fine the way it is
like,
for certain people.
No, it is not.
And setting it in the 80s and then having that be the plot and then having everybody simultaneously renounce their wish. Like just from this point of view of that's not a realistic thing, anybody that you can't get the whole world to do that.
Right. You have so much, it's the same problem with the end of the first one where it's like they wanted to have this positive uniting ending and it's like, but we have so many decades of history that undermine this because you've set this in the past.
Right. And you've shown a world of horrible things. Like, all right, compare this oddly enough to a film like Bill and Ted Face the Music, which is about uniting the world, but it's a low stakes comedy where everybody is kind of less sinister, and it's in the ending is that they're all playing the same song.
Yeah.
They're all, not that the song is uniting the world, it's getting everybody on the same page. And you can interpret that with climate change, which is the idea of like, in order to save the world, we don't have to make the perfect solution. We just have to all be on the same page.
Yeah, we all have to be playing the same song.
Yeah, we have to be aspiring for the same thing.
Yeah.
And it works because they don't try to overstep the idea of like everybody has to make a selfless act during a terrible era. Like it's just too much.
One of the most grotesque periods of American history, honestly.
Yeah.
In modern American history, it's just there's so much fucking horrible shit happened in the 1980s.
And you think that's the idea because like you said, it's setting up this Trump-like figure and this is the height of when shit goes bad. And then the moral at the end is, but everything's good the way it is. And it was like, whoa.
The moral at the end is we all have to take individual responsibility. And it's like, well, that's not even true about climate change.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what it's like most of something like 75% of the emissions come from like 150 companies.
Yeah, I was going to say, we all have to take steps. It's like, no, it's like 6 people.
Right, like 6 motherfuckers have to take steps.
Yeah.
Like
and
us
we're somehow not making them do that.
recycling plastic turned out to be kind of a lie perpetrated by the textile industries. Like, it's they try to muddle the issue by convincing us it's all about personal sacrifice and what you do on a, like, if you eat less beef, it's like, no, we have to get at like the manufacturing level of this.
Straws isn't the fucking problem.
No.
When fucking Carnival Cruise was like, we have paper straws now, and it's like, oh good, you're a floating trash
Carnival
cannon.
Cruise is
Fuck
one of
you.
the 150 companies.
Yeah, way to go on your paper straws. You are killing the ocean.
It's not your fucking plastic straws, asshole.
Yeah. And so the fact, and that's such an 80s fucking message
it is.
that this ends in. And it's like, what the absolute fuck is this?
Yeah. Chris Pine's delightful.
Chris Pine's delightful.
Chris Pine's delightful. Pedro Pascal, killing it. I had to... I think it's 2 or 3 different times now. I think we watched Prospect a couple of weeks ago, and then we watched this. Like, I keep having to... like, Marina keeps asking, because she has trouble remembering things. But she keeps thinking he's Nathan Fillion.
He could have done it. Nathan Fillion could have done it.
They're like weirdly similar. Like, I didn't realize.
Well, in this movie,
in a lot of, like, just in their general performance, I didn't realize it until Marina confused the 2 men. But I was like, oh yeah, they are weirdly similar. But anyway,
remember when Kristen Wiig was like, I want to be really even cooler and a predator, and he was like, okay, cat it is.
He just turns her into a cat lady.
She's like, look, I didn't ask for this at all. What are you into?
What part of what I told you said I want to be a ThunderCat?
Yeah. He's like, well, I heard you want to be really cool, and, like, I don't know, cats are like the cat people.
It's 1984. ThunderCats are pretty sweet right now. Actually, I don't know if that's the right timeline, but okay, so there was one extreme criticism of the film that I think is hyperbolic, and I'll only talk about it briefly because it's a whole ass thing that I don't really want to wade into, but it is kind of bothering me.
What?
Is that a lot of people are, well, first of all, okay, let's talk about how, let's begin with how fucked up it is that Diana's wish to bring Steve back essentially steals a man's life, and they just never address it.
Right. And is the consequence for her wish that she kind of doesn't have powers but also does?
Yes.
Okay, because they don't get, it was like I thought what was going to happen, because she's a character who's so powerful that I thought, oh, they're going to take away her powers. Mm-hmm. That'll be fun. What a good way of, and then they don't.
They kind of do.
She just is kind of weak here and there, but then also
and
not.
And she's like vulnerable too. Like, she can be hurt
but
with bullets.
They don't do it. You know what I mean?
Not full on, and it's so weird because they set this up as your wish will cost you something. There's going to be a moral conundrum about your wish.
Right.
And the obvious one with this wish is that you are stealing a man's life.
Exactly. If they went in his house and they're like joking about his outfits and what he's into, and it's like they should show that he has like a family.
No,
like they should show.
Nope, they do. You don't even see him say it, so it might even be ADR.
Yeah.
Chris Pine makes a comment like he only has photos of himself, which I guess is a choice. It wouldn't do. So they right there, they were like trying to see he doesn't have a family. It's okay. But he doesn't matter. Right. I was so convinced that was going to be the cost of her wish. It's like she has to decide.
Yeah.
Like, Chris Pine, I love him and he's great, but he lived and died already. He had his life.
Right. And it's so weird, her being this moral character.
Exactly. And it just never comes up. It just never comes up. Instead, the cost of her wish is that she loses her powers. It's like, it's weird and unconnected.
Right.
Like,
and she's like, oh, I wished him alive and he took over this guy's body, but oh no, me.
Right.
Me. And it's like, what about this stranger?
Yeah. What about this dude whose life you've just invaded and stolen?
Yeah.
and also like the losing her powers is kind of a weird price to pay because there's like a Highlander positive spin on that, right? Like she's like, well, I can have a life with Steve now. I can grow old with Steve now that I'm not Wonder Woman anymore. There's like a positive version of that. So it's so incredibly weird that this was not the price of her wish. Like,
yeah,
can you live with the fact that you are essentially killing a man so that your boyfriend can be alive again?
It's funny. At first, I thought that her getting weaker was the price of Kristen Wiig's wish.
Yes.
And so I was like, oh, I see. He invaded a body, and then Kristen Wiig caused her to get weak. Is stealing her power.
She gets Diana's powers because she's stealing them from Diana. And it's like...
They never explicitly say anything either.
No, they don't. And then that would have made a more interesting moral choice for Barbara because Diana's essentially the only friend she has.
Yes. And if they try to make them like kind of enemies later, but then they go back, like she's like helping her over the phone, track down. Remember that random Mayan dude that they just go for exposition
that was weird.
That was bad. There's a lot of like
there's a lot of like really convenient things like that.
There's also
the fact that Max walks into the Oval Office to make a wish for the president and then just turns around and sees this display and he's like, what's this? Oh, that's our global satellite thing that allows you to get it. Like, that was like, okay, that was just set up in his office.
Yeah, it's just there in case someone needs to ask about
There's
it.
There's a couple of moments like that.
There's some weird geography too, like
the invisible jet when she's just like,
"Oh my fucking God.
I've always wondered how my father kept the Themyscira hidden.
Yeah,
and I've been trying to do this for 50 years. Let me try it now." It's just so shoehorned in there.
Yeah, there's a series of things because they're like, "Let's go steal a jet," and then Chris Pine just knows how to fly the jet because I guess he flew jets like really long time ago. Whatever. It's still pretty sketchy. And then they get in the jet and she's like, oh right, I forgot radar exists. And it's like, fuck's sake. Like it's such a thrown together plan. And then she's like, oh, let me try to make the jet invisible. And they do, and I'm pretty sure radar would still pick them up.
We don't know we don't know how that magic works.
That's true. We don't know how that magic works.
Radar doesn't pick up Themyscira either.
Also, that outfit that she gets, the armor, does she... All right, maybe I missed something, because they fly off in the helicopter. She learns how to fly suddenly, which... Because Steve said it's just wind and air, and whatever. She just figures out how to fly, and then she never does that again in the Justice League. Whatever.
Yeah, she does.
Oh, she does? Oh, okay, never mind.
She flies at the end of the first Wonder Woman.
But there's a lot of like invisible jet and flying. It was like, let me try this new power, and then it just works. Like they never show her trying to fly, do they? In this movie or in the one before?
No.
It's just like she's like, oh, cool, I can fly.
It's just one of those. Yeah, and there's a way you can do that, like an Iron Man or Shazam, where it's just like I'm not entirely sure what I can do. I know I'm a superpowered being. Maybe I can fly. I've never tried it before.
yeah, exactly. But it felt really weird.
It did.
So she's flying to the super satellite place, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then she like goes back for her armor, and her armor is where? Her armor's like back.
Her armor's in DC.
DC. I got really confused because they show her flying for a while, and then they show her go back and get the armor, and then they show her go back there. And like it felt, did she start flying to the island, turn around, and go get her armor? Is that what happened?
I don't know.
Because where were they when she started flying?
They were in DC.
Right.
They were on the mall in DC.
Right. Okay. So she flew. All right. I guess she just went back for her armor. It's just the pacing.
She probably just went back for her armor.
It's like they didn't want to show her armor yet, but they wanted to show her flying, and it felt like an awkward.
It's the emotional cap and payoff of Steve's second death, essentially.
Yeah.
Is that she runs off and she leaps into the sky. She doesn't even look at him as he disappears, basically. She doesn't want to deal with that again. And then she's up in the air, and then she remembers what Steve said, and then she tries to fly, and she can fly.
I think they could have done a better job there. I think because you know what would have been made the I can fly sequence make more sense is if she had wings on her armor. that she has.
But she flies. She flies without them.
Oh, maybe that's why they didn't want to do that, because they wanted to make sure we didn't think it was the armor.
Correct. That might be it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of awkward. I don't know. It's not a big gripe. I was just like confused because I was like, wasn't she in DC? Where is she flying? Oh, she's getting her armor. Isn't her armor like in DC? So I got very like, I was. It's just like the sequences there was weird.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. We're spending too much time on this one thing.
Yeah,
I like that she could swing on lightning.
That was dope. Yeah, that was pretty sweet. I'm not sure why the electricity only hurt Cheetah and not her, since they have the same power. But whatever.
Yeah,
maybe it's. Because,
I don't know why.
Maybe it's because she's the daughter of Zeus. I don't know.
What's with the wish wind? All that wish wind. Whenever he's wishing, and she like can't get to Pedro Pascal because of all the wish wind.
Oh, I don't know.
Like there's a lot of that where I'm like, I don't know the rules here. I mean, I'll accept it, but
it's magic. I mean, it's not. It wasn't. That aspect of it wasn't crazy enough for me to be like, what the fuck is going on? It's just like, nah.
Well, that's standard. That's standard superhero shit,
right? He's coursing with so much magic energy that it's creating a whirlwind. Sure. That's like like billions of people are filling him with wish power right now. So
we never got to what the gripe that.
Okay, this is the thing that I think is hyperbolic. Is that I've seen people argue that. The plot about Steve inhabiting another man's body is an issue of consent and rape.
Well,
I'd
say yes and no.
I get it. I think that's extreme. I think it does a little bit of disservice to the conversation about consent, because it's a body swap. It's a magic body swap movie about a guy's spirit and consciousness essence inhabiting another person's vessel, and he is certainly consenting.
I would say
so. I think all I want to say is I think that's a little hyperbolic, and I think it's a little. I don't. That rubs me the wrong way a little bit, and that's all I want to say about it.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say is that I think all body swap movies, it's not really about consent, but there's always an issue of violation that they kind of skip over.
Of course, yeah.
It's a horrifying thought. If I body swapped with anybody, we would both be horrified. Not about being, probably being in the other person's body, sure, but the fact that someone else has full access to your body without your permission, and they didn't do it in a body swap situation. Whatever, the magic did it. The whatever did that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that is a horrifying thought that we skip over every time. I would say that in this case, what's weird is that they just take that body for a run.
Right.
And they have sex in it.
They do not address it. Well, and they consider allowing him, I think the more horrible thing is that they consider allowing him to just occupy it forever. And wherever that dude is,
that's the first
realms.
Thing. We don't know. He could be being John Malkoviching. It could be Get Out, you know? Like he could just be somewhere in there, unable to control anything. And I think that's what it is that it is a violation of this man. Because yes, Steve didn't have a choice, but the fact that they don't care and then they have sex and then they just walk around like that man could have had a family he needed to get back to. He could have had a wife or a girlfriend.
He could have kids. We don't know anything about him. Yeah.
his life.
Yeah.
Like I would feel so incredibly violated if my body was taken over and then the person who took over my body didn't care.
Yeah.
And just went about their life.
Yeah.
It's a different thing. I get why people are talking about consent and rape because it is a absolute violation of someone's body. It's just we're talking about a magic movie thing that
I think it's a little I think it's a little hyperbolic and maybe not the right.
No, I think that
fixate on.
I think this is someone put it really well is that like everybody's at home and like has nothing to do, so everybody's basically turned into people like us, Tom, where they watch movies and they're like, yeah, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Like you got the time to really think about it. So I would say that goes for every body swap movie.
Kind of.
And that's the thing is that I think what makes this so fucked up is that it's in most body swap movies, there is an element of like a lot of times trying to protect this person's life or like being weirded out by it.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, they're like sinister.
He doesn't matter. He doesn't matter. Yeah.
They completely. And then at the end, there's a moment where she meets him, and she's kind of like, "Ooh, maybe I'll fuck this dude again."
I don't know that I got like I've seen that too. I don't think I got that from it.
I don't know what they. But again, all right. Here's what I think.
I think she was just.
Here's okay.
Just like having a memory of Steve while talking to this dude, and then that was the end of it. Like they're
right.
I don't think that was
okay. Do you really? Is that what you think? Really?
Yeah.
Because all right. One notable thing in this movie, and I'm not saying this isn't unrealistic, especially for the 80s, is like every guy is a monster. Every random street guy.
Oh, that's a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably just that's probably like I'm not going to discount that as like unrealistic. I'm sure that is plenty realistic for a lot of women.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the point though is that there were people in it who were also nice guys. There was that. But in terms of random street encounters, they keep showing this pattern of like scumbags. Like whenever Diana is just walking through a goddamn party, and again, probably not unrealistic at all. There's just rando assholes who are like, "Hey, what's up?" And so I thought they were saying something about this guy, that he's not a scumbag. He walks up to her. He says like, "Hi, nice day." Like he approaches her in a non-creepy way. They have a brief conversation, and he goes, "Well, see ya."
Yeah, I'll see you around.
He's a cool guy. So I thought what they were revealing there is, remember this guy whose body they took? He's a nice guy. He's a genuinely cool, like a good guy whose body you stole. And that would have made more sense if the moral problem was we stole this guy's body.
Which is why I don't think that's the point.
You're right. You're probably right.
Because the movie does not address the horror of stealing this man's life.
Yeah, that was what was so interesting about it, because they set him up like they said, they're like, they have a lot of pictures of himself, and it's like, he's probably a jerk. And then when they actually show him, dude, he's an extremely nice guy.
Yeah.
So I just thought like they were. Like, again, it feels like there was like cut scenes or something where they dealt with that.
Maybe, but like, it's
fucking weird.
It never comes up.
Yeah, it's just for a movie that made a point to show guys are fucking irritating. Guys are harassing and dangerous, and they can be really bad. They can be really shitty.
Mm-hmm.
And then they show this one guy that's like, look, this guy isn't that. Because there are also guys who aren't shitty, and this is one of them.
That might have been showing, because it's also in a very idyllic scene of like kids playing, people being together, community. That might have been to demonstrate the unity of the world now that they've all renounced their wishes and they've renounced selfishness.
Right. Apparently, they all renounced selfishness.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I don't know.
This is why I'm saying it's a little below average, this film, because there's a lot of parts that are muddled, whereas like I couldn't understand what they were trying to say, and they ignored really obvious stuff like the inhabiting the body. It's kind of a mess in terms of what the message is and what they're trying to say. It felt really weird and messy.
In terms of its message, it's 100% a mess.
Yeah. Like the plot, fine. I understood more or less what was happening.
Yeah.
I don't know why Pedro Pascal wanted to be the Wishmaster. Not sure about that, but whatever.
It's essentially a way of giving yourself unlimited wishes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because everybody else, normally everybody gets one.
Yeah. The idea is, and they show his background a little bit, where he's just like kind of a guy who's just starving for greatness.
Starving for success.
And then he finds his child, and apparently, I don't know, doesn't go to jail. We never follow up on him.
Well, I mean, nothing he did was technically illegal. I don't know.
That's true, Tom. I mean, art theft.
He didn't steal that.
He stole it from Kristen Wiig from the Smithsonian. I guess he technically bought it. Wow, is nothing illegal what he did? I mean, he endangered children. He endangered children. They shot at her in Egypt.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, mind control. I'm sure they can find something to pin him on.
He didn't mind control
pin on
anyone.
him. Well, he like essentially.
Oh
he
when he wished
way.
for the dude's guard to become his personal guard. That sort of mind controls them.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a law in the books that they could.
There
put on him.
there must be a Wishmaster law we can come up with.
Yeah. I'm just saying
you about Wishmastered the world into oblivion.
If anything, he'd be black-bagged and disappeared, right? Like, the government would be like, well, we don't have any laws, but we are going to execute that man.
Yeah.
He almost caused nuclear annihilation.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very weird that there's no follow-up on what happened to him. He just loves his son. And then we cut away, and it was like, huh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know, man.
We definitely should be able to get a business license after this.
Yeah, really. Seriously.
That's the very least that they could
do.
do.
At least he's banned from the Smithsonian. Like something. Something. Anything. It's an interesting idea, again, of like making this person kind of a Trumpian figure that just stupidly craves power. And then showing that, like, oh, his consequence is love. He just needed love. Like, it's a very like naive view on someone like this, because they ultimately don't make him a sinister character. They're look, he was just led astray, and it's like, that's fucking weird too. They just show the cycle of abuse in his family.
Yeah.
Which. In that context, it's like, sure, this guy doesn't seem evil.
He wants to achieve greatness to prove all those people in his past wrong.
But the people who tend to go after oil and riches, they're not good people at heart.
No.
Yeah. Again, very naive view on the world.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Undeniably.
Yeah.
It's a weird film.
It's a weird fucking film.
Really strange film. I think, but don't worry, they're fast tracking Wonder Woman 3. That's been announced today.
Yeah. After this, I really liked the first one, and it had that weird message, and this is like that amplified, that one message.
It's like it's in a way it's perfect that it was set in the 80s, because it's like the 80s just gonzo version of that. You know, all that message just imbued with excess and cranked up to 11.
Yeah, I have a final thought.
Sure.
And I had said this, I think privately. I don't think I said it on a Hypecast or something, but my curiosity on this film was, this was clearly made pre-pandemic.
Oh yeah.
And I predicted that post-pandemic it would be received worse. And I would say that's because of the pandemic. Now, there are definitely plot issues in this, but I do think the pandemic has made us all way more cynical, that a movie like this, that is like, you just have to wish it away, did rub people the wrong way. I think because of the year they had. I think the year also didn't help.
Right, it's because we've seen what will actually happen when we're asked to work together to do make a very simple minor sacrifice.
An extremely simple change. Wear masks, and we were all like, I'm not going to do that shit. So like, the idea of we just have to all wish it and have personal responsibility. We know that's a lie. We know that's a lie. So I think this is like oddly optimistic and like, I think even if there wasn't a pandemic and we were just dealing with an election with Trump, it would have been a level of that too. Yeah. Although it would have come out sooner. But yeah, I think there's a certain level of, I don't know. It's just too naive for people right now.
It's too naive to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, fine. It's a superhero movie. How serious are you supposed to take those?
I think it's like, it's bad timing. And also kind of a confusing film.
And just some, there's some really embarrassing shit in it.
Yeah, some really fucking weird messages.
Yeah, my God, she literally shoots a missile.
Yeah.
To
And then she saves them.
some children.
And again, she saves them, and then she goes, shh.
And I'm like, mean?
Why are you shushing them?
Does that mean don't tell anybody about the missile?
Yeah, there's 10 people watching this happen right
so
now.
many people saw this happen.
Who are you shushing?
Who are you shushing?
That really...
What is this?
She does it twice.
I know, yeah.
She does it twice. Why does she do that?
It's weirder the first time because she is in a mall surrounded by hundreds of people.
Yeah, who are all watching her fucking magic skate around the mall.
Beat the shit, like magically kick the Christ out of 4 burglars.
Yeah, that guy hung the child off the side and was like, I'm not going back. And everybody's looking at him. And then she's like, shh. Keep your fucking mouth shut, kid. It's between me and you.
She shushes the little girl and winks at her and then leaps up into the air with the bad guys. And the very next scene is her literally dropping them onto a police cruiser outside.
Right.
So it's like, are you trying to keep a low profile or...
You're not fucking Santa. Like, you're not... What the fuck is this?
Yeah, there's some confusing shit in this movie.
This isn't fucking... Yeah, it's so weird.
This is a wild-ass film.
This kid isn't fucking Cindy Lou getting up
to
fucking get a glass of water or whatever. You're in a mall.
Yeah. You're in front of a Walden Books.
Yeah. There are probably cameras. Like, why are you shushing? That's so fucking weird. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know, man. Mm-hmm. I'm probably never gonna watch this movie again.
I don't know. I'd be interested to revisit it once the discourse has settled down a bit. But.
Yeah, I just I had a day when I watched this too, so it just gave me a headache too, for the same reason any superhero movie would, where it's just like, oh, it's just lights and noise. I can't handle this.
Yeah.
So like I do think there are people who are overreacting, I guess, to some of the aspects of this, mainly the superhero logic, where it's like, yeah, welcome to watching superhero films.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is good. I think it is below average at times. I think it's confusing, and I think the message is terrible.
The message is a trash fire. I don't know.
Yeah, the morality is terrible.
The morality of this film is like, why did you even do this?
Yeah. Curious to know what that Squadrons film that she does is going to be.
Oh, Rogue Squadron?
Rogue Squadron. It's going to be like oddly pro-Empire or something. We'll see. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see.
What's going on here?
Ugh.
What's going on here?
It's really pro-colonization.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is one thing I did not expect. I'll say about Wonder Woman 1984 is that it would be bizarrely pro-colonization.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
It's like, okay, I guess that's a weird equivalence to make in your film, but all right.
Here's the thing: is I think, famously I think the textbook example is that Ghostbusters is like the EPA is bad.
Yeah.
Like we have messages that are fucked up in classic movies.
Oh, we do this all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, but if the movie isn't amazing, then those messages are a lot harder to get by. Yeah, it's always funny when people are like, liberal Hollywood, and it's like, yeah.
Have you watched movies?
Have you watched movies? Have you watched any movie with a gun in it? Mm-hmm. Like, Jesus Christ.
Hollywood was suffocatingly conservative until, like, I don't know, now.
Yeah, and it still is in a lot of ways, because it's just rich people making movies. So there's a lot of messages like this where it's like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Fucking whatever.
Whatever. That's the best thing. Whatever, man. Sure.
Yeah. See it or don't. Wonder Woman 1984.
It's there if you want to watch it. I don't, if we've heard our thoughts.
Final note. It's 2.5 hours long.
It is 2.5 hours long.
That's too long. Yeah. Fucking weird ass. Whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, folks. Thanks.
Hey.
We're gonna just letting people know we're gonna have a light week this week, just because it's the fucking holidays still, and we want to have a light week. So don't expect much from us. and we won't expect much from you, I guess. I don't know what that means.
It's a perfect transaction.
Yeah, but if you're curious, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We have exclusive podcasts on there, like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman and Fox Mulder is a Maniac. There'll be at least one of those exclusives this week. Still running.
Yeah. We're gonna take most of the week off, but you know.
Yeah, will we do Friday? What day is the Friday nights? We could probably do a Friday night.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
I don't know what New Year's is.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But yeah, check that out. We watch movies with our patrons usually every Friday night.
Every Friday night,
when it's not holidays.
When it's not the holiday season.
We watch all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Tons of stuff. Probably not this movie.
Probably not this movie. No, that's a tall task.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe this movie. I don't know. Who knows? We also have a store, tpublic.com/store/gamefullyunemployed. We get t-shirts, masks, mugs, stickers, posters, all kinds of things. Check that out.
Check it out. And
do it.
Yeah, watch this or don't.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you want to do. That's
definitely don't watch Tenet. That's a hard don't. That's a hard don't.
At least I could follow this fucking movie.
Yeah, watch Soul maybe. I haven't seen Soul.
I haven't watched it. I was probably gonna watch it today. Yeah.
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 What are the? Okay, I was just gonna start listing movies
I'm
to
done.
watch and not watch.
I'm done.
All right.